Hey everybody, hope everyone's having a good night. What I want to focus on in this video is flicker reduction. I feel like almost everyone that uses Lumion has had this problem before where you have two textures sitting directly on top of one another and then you get this flickering effect. I can just draw it quickly in SketchUp to kind of show it. So you get this effect going on. Now I do have this open in Lumion, so if we hopped over in that, you can see that the same effect happens here as well. And there is actually a really simple way of fixing this in Lumion that I think most people would know of, but if you don't know about it, it's called flicker reduction. So basically what it does is Lumion, the Lumion devs basically put something in where you can very minimally raise a texture off of another one. So even though we model it right on top of one another, Lumion can actually raise it up like I think a maximum of 10 centimeters, which it doesn't actually seem like it's 10 centimeters. I think I'm not sure exactly how that works, but basically when you drag it all the way to one side, it will like the texture you're editing will either go all the way inside of the other one or it'll pop out and you'll be able to see the whole thing. Now, there are two ways of fixing the flickering face without actually using flicker reduction. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I would kind of go about doing that. One of them would be to just take the texture and just apply it to that face. Now that works for something like window panes where it's not really a big deal. Like, maybe you have like some flickering around like a door or something. Then I would just click on the entire group and basically change everything I wanted. Like if it was inside of the door, like that texture, I would just change it because you don't really have to go and spend that much time doing it. Like it's just a quick and dirty fix. And the other thing that you can do is, and this is more or less what the flicker reduction does, but I might as well show you anyways. If you just grab it and you move it up very slightly, and as you can see, maybe I'll actually just change that texture again. So as you can see, now there's no longer a flickering face because it's very marginally raised. Like it's only like a 30th of an inch basically. So as you can see, that now works perfectly. But this, while it's so close, you can't really tell. If you do it like that, I find that sometimes it can create a shadow, which I really don't, it doesn't seem like that happens when you use flicker reduction. So we'll get into that now and I'll kind of show you why I think it's so cool. I'll also just kind of demonstrate this using some decals. So a couple months ago, I actually made a video on how to import custom decals into Lumion, and it actually does use the flicker reduction technique. So I'll link that video above there. So if you want to click on that card and go check that out, you can. It is pretty neat. I just felt like I didn't really go into it when I did my decal video. So anyone that wants to check that out can go do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a small square here, and I'm going to draw a small square up here. I'm going to put two random textures on it, and I want them to be flickering like that because we need to fix that. So I will go back into Lumion now, and then I'll just hop in the material mode. I'm going to find two decals that I used in my other video. So I believe this one and the height. Right, so as you can see, the material is actually looking fairly good. It's just that we can't really do anything with it because it's, it's flickering like that. So you go down to settings here, and then at the very bottom, flicker reduction. Drag that all the way to the left. If you go to the left, the material that you have selected will go on top, and if you drag it to the right, the material you have selected will go underneath it. So you can normally just figure that out just by kind of playing around with it. Like as you can see, all the way to the right, all the way to the left. And now there's no flickering faces. And you can actually kind of tell that it's working like that because if you hover over the material, it's still, like you can still kind of see how it looks like it's fighting for the highlight, but then Lumion's not showing it like that. So if I just drag this here, and then we'll just go to the position here and drag that down a little bit, and maybe make that a little bit smaller. And actually, I guess I better change the heading first. Now we'll move it over a little bit. Okay, so then you can come in here and you can do your relief, do some displacement, not too much because I find with these they kind of get destroyed pretty fast. But yeah, so that even though we had that material directly on top of it, then like the manhole cover is now showing there's no problems. Like no matter what you do with your animation, this will look normal. And so, yeah, as you can see, we didn't fix it in here. So that's entirely Lumion that's fixing it. And then the other thing, I'll just do like a quick graffiti, just because there is kind of a cool effect. I can show that it's like, it's obviously not intended, but I just kind of came across this while I was doing it, and it might, some people might find it kind of interesting. So we're going to go in here, settings, flicker reduction all the way to the left, and then we're going to scale this up and about here, and I think that that should get it done. Go like right there, so that should be good enough. And then maybe I'll just make this like white just so you can see it better. Now if we go to the opacity, or if we render this out quickly, then as you can see, there's no flickering. There is some transparency, that's just kind of a part of the decal. But what you can also do is if you kind of come in here and you just like do it a little bit. So as you can see, like around here, like it's not all the way in, but you can kind of like have it here, and so it does flicker a little bit. And this wouldn't really work for animations, but I find that you can kind of like play around with it, and you just got to find like the right area. But let me see if I can replicate it. Right, so if you kind of get like this area right here, you can make it almost have this like look like it's not only is like the graffiti kind of like old and like scratched, but it actually kind of looks like it's like coming apart. I find that like these, you could do this without flicker reduction, but I found that just by like kind of tweaking flicker reduction a little bit, it was easier to kind of get that angle. So if I render that out again and go 2, then as you can see, it's like, it's almost like a faded effect. So there's probably not a huge, I guess like, there's not a lot of times you'd really be using that, but I did think it was a kind of neat little trick where you can kind of have something sort of fading into the distance. But yeah, that's just a quick video that I want to do about the flicker reduction, because I think that it's something that seems to get forgotten in a lot of animations. And as I said, if you can just change the color, that's the one I would normally use if I don't use flicker reduction. And then just also utilizing the flicker reduction, you can really remove like basically all of the material flickering in your Lumion renders. I know that there is like flickering sometimes from like reflections and that kind of thing. I am actually working on a way to kind of reduce that, but I haven't had too much luck, because I think that it's more so how like Lumion handles things in the distance. Like I know that one of the biggest culprits that I found at least was depth of field. I found that when you go into like depth of field and it starts to lose focus, things start to kind of flicker in the background, especially like lights, the leaves, you notice it a lot more, and especially like it seems like reflections. So I am kind of trying to just isolate some of those situations and see if there's ways around it where you can not take all of it away, but at least make it look a little better for your final product. So thanks a lot for checking out this video, guys. As always, it's been a lot of fun making videos for you guys. So if you found the channel interesting, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And if you already have hit the subscribe button, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.